resolutions.
We
You
are
want to do
live.
the
We can do the
Let's do
resolutions if you
resolutions.
We
want.
are
Yes.
live.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you all, and good evening to the Town of East Hampton Zoning Board of Appeals meeting for September 22nd, 2020. We have two canceled public hearings this evening that I just want to read off so people know that these are canceled. The first one is Audrey and Daniel Talmadge are the applicants, and this is at 61 3 Mile Harbor Road in East Hampton, tax map number 300-161-1-16, and that will not be heard this evening. The second canceled public hearing, excuse me, the applicant is Martin Pedersen, and this is at 124 Navy Road in Montauk, tax map number 300-26.1, 300-26-1-12. And those were scheduled for 6:30 and for 7:10. So between now and 6:30, we will move on, board members, to some other business. And perhaps we should go on and do the, pardon me one second. Shall we do the resolutions, board members? If that's all right with you. We have quite a few extensions of time. The first is Philip Trippy, and I will be pulling these up.
Yeah, I have the latest ones that Nancy Lynn had sent out
Yeah.
on those.
If you want to, what we should do is maybe whatever district they're in. I have this. I have these now. I have them. Thanks.
Yeah.
But if these are, let me see where these are here.
They're all Montauk.
Yeah, why don't you just handle these, Terry, if you would, because they're all Montauk.
They're all
Right.
Montauk.
Yeah.
Sure, I have the documents online. I don't have them printed, so let me open each one and we'll do them.
Great.
So the first one I have here is 508 West 25th Street. And you tricked me on that one, Nancy Lynn. You changed the
I
name.
know.
So,
Well, because it's changed and I'm trying to
From
keep it with
AFMP.
the current owner, so it's
Yeah.
easier for them to find
yes,
it.
so this is the one we originally discussed as AFMP.
Yes.
Yes, and it's in the
Out of-
caption. We do have
Yeah.
it.
Okay. My PC's opening, Word. Come on. Any second now. This is at 404 Old Montauk Highway. If you recall, it was done, we're granting the extension of time based on the fact that the planning department did check and the items that were supposed to be removed, the garage and some other things, was done. So the planning department is comfortable with allowing them to go ahead with a building permit request. So the new name on it is 508 West 25th Street, formerly AFMP, tax map 300-22-1-4 at 404 Old Montauk Highway in Montauk. And on this one, I make a motion to approve the resolution extending the determination as written.
A second.
Right?
Concur.
And I concur. Thanks, Terry.
Okay, next one is, let me open in browser, it'll be faster. Jeanette Silva. This is also an extension of time. If you recall, Jeanette Silva, this is, the address is East Lake Drive, 48 East Lake Drive. This is the application where they're looking to get a permit now after a couple of modifications. And this is also the property that has an admin NRSP to move a shed into compliance. The original determination was in November of 2016. They requested the extension time September 2nd, and for Jeanette Silva, tax map 300-20-3-6 at 48 East Lake Drive, Montauk. I make a motion to approve the resolution extending the determination as written.
Second.
Concur.
And I concur. Thanks, Terry.
Okay, the next one we have is Philip Trippy, tax map 300-30-3-3. And if you recall, this is the one on 8 Brisbane Avenue out in Ditch Plains in 7 Brisbane Road in Montauk. And this was the one where the planning department did go out and verify that the wetland conditions were the same as the original determination, since the original goes back to December 2nd of 2008. They did confirm that, so we also agreed to approve the extension of time for Philip Trippy, tax map 300-30-3-3 at 7 Brisbane Road in Montauk, and make a motion to approve this resolution as written.
Second. Concur.
And I concur as well.
Okay, next one is for Stephen Cronley. This is at 100 DeForest Road, Unit 739. This is in the Montauk Shores condominiums. And this is an application that was originally done in August 22nd, 2017 to remove the current home that's there and replace it with a slightly larger home. And the original determination is 2017. And this is for Stephen Cronley, tax map 300-32.1-1-223 at 100 DeForest Road in Montauk. Make a motion to approve this resolution as written.
Second. Concur.
And I concur as well.
And that's it.
Okay, and then let's see, Roy, you have a couple. Roy, you have Philip Milenzak and Adam Wartsky. I don't know if you have those handy, Roy, or I could read them.
I do. No, I do.
Thank you.
Just give me a second.
Sure, take your time.
Actually, there are a couple more, yeah. Okay.
There are, yeah.
There are some more Montauk ones. Forget
Yeah.
about the others.
And then Tim will have Honor Camp. He's on deck with that. And then Terry
Okay.
will let you wrap it up. We'll let you bring us home.
Okay.
We'll jump all around here. Well, go ahead. Who's ever ready? Roy, you gonna go? We'll wait for Roy.
Yeah, I'm trying to find it here.
I can go real quick.
Yeah,
All
go
right,
ahead,
Fern.
Tim, if you
While
would.
you're looking for it. So I have the determination of Max Hunter Camp, which is at 59 Northwest Landing Road in East Hampton. And it's Suffolk County Tax Map 300-90-3-20. And this is, if you recall, board members, was to construct 284 square feet of pool deck, which was an addition, essentially the squaring out of an existing deck. And it's within 100 feet of freshwater wetlands. However, the extended deck was actually on the other side of the wetlands from the pool. And in addition, this came with a good bit of commitment associated with revegetation to bring the property into compliance. And so we all concurred in approving this submission. So in the matter of Max Hunter Camp, Suffolk County Tax Map 300-90-3-20 at 59 Northwest Landing Road, East Hampton, I make a motion to accept the determination as written.
Second.
Concur.
And I concur. Thanks, Tim.
I have Milanzak if you want.
Sure, go ahead, Roy.
Okay, if you remember, Milanzak was a project the purpose of the application was to reconstruct 100 linear foot of bulkheading in place with a 10-foot splash apron. We approved actually the bulkhead as in place in kind. So the relief was granted for the replacement of the bulkhead, and the work denied was the splash apron. So I make a motion to approve the resolution of the application of Philip Melanzek, Suffolk tax map number 300-24-1-12 as written.
Second.
Concur?
And I concur as well. Thanks, Roy. Terry, you want to take a couple? And then I have one.
Yeah, I'm ready with Padden.
Yeah,
So,
go ahead. Go
Padden.
ahead, if you please.
This is a determination for Michael and Patricia DeRosa Padden, Michael Padden and Patricia DeRosa Padden. This was out in Montauk on Greenwich Street, South Greenwich Street. And if you recall, this is an NRSP and the variance to construct decking and some egress around the house. The house was it was in the front of the house. It was going to wrap around to the northerly side and then toward the back of the house, which is on the easterly side, and around and enclosing a porch there. The variance was granted. It was a minor variance of 14 feet. The applicant also had a buffer from a previous application that had not been put in place. And with this application, in order to protect the wetland that touches their property, but is basically in the east on a neighboring's property, they've agreed to a substantial revegetation and plan with the planning department. And this was a unanimous approval. There's also a shed on the property that did not need setback, which the applicant is going to move into a conforming location. So with this, I make a motion on Michael Padden and Patricia DeRosa Padden, Suffolk County Tax Map 300-12-3-5 at the address. You have the address? Is it 20?
Oh, I can get that.
Yeah, it's South Greenwich Street, but if at the house.
61?
61?
Greenwich.
Oh,
61.
there it is. Yeah, 61 Greenwich Street in Montauk. Make a motion to approve the determination as written.
Second.
Concur?
And I concur as well. Thanks, Terry. Okay, let's see. Do we do any more?
I have Wartsky up front.
Yeah, oh, you still have that. Yeah, go ahead, Roy.
So, members, if you remember, Wartsky is an application to allow an existing slate pool patio to remain within rear yard setbacks. This is a application where an owner had bought a piece of property, realized there was a bunch of violations on the property, and they're continuing to legalize the property. We approved the application for the pool patio contingent on CNRs to maintain the fence and the landscaping. So I make a motion to approve the application for Adam Wartsky, Suffolk tax map number 300-39-8-1 as written.
Second.
Concur?
And I concur as well. Thank you.
Okay, I'm ready with Bungee Onesie.
Okay, go ahead.
modification.
Go ahead,
Okay.
please.
This is for Bungee Onesie LLC at 72 Old Westlake Drive in Montauk. And if you recall, this was a modification in order to change from the originally planned sanitary system to a new IA sanitary system. This is an unimproved property at the time, and it's for a new house to be built on it. Nothing really changed in terms of the setbacks or variances required or anything with it. So this was approved by the board. In the matter of Bungee Onesie LLC, Suffolk County Tax Map 300-20-5-19.2 at 72 Old Westlake Drive in Montauk, and make a motion to approve the resolution as written. Resolution amending determination as written.
Second.
Concur?
And I concur as well. Thanks, Terry. Let's see, do we take care of Corelli, board members?
No, I gotta find Corelli.
Okay, while you do, I will do Stephen Rizzo. Okay, Terry, will you get that in front of you?
Sure, go ahead, sure.
Okay, great. So this is Stephen Rizzo, tax map number 300-176-6-23. This determination regards constructing a 265 square foot, two-story addition, a 50 square foot roof terrace, upgraded sanitary system, 48 square feet of porch, steps, an outdoor shower, and removing an outdoor shower, pergola, patio, and shed, and renovating the deck and a parcel of land containing wetlands, beach vegetation, and within jurisdiction of freshwater wetlands. And this board approved this application, and I will note that with this, they did lower the total coverage here, was lowered almost 300 square feet, which was good. So having said that, in the matter of Stephen Rizzo at at 83 Gardner Drive in Amagansett, I make a motion to approve the determination as written.
Second.
Concur.
Okay, thank you, board members.
I still can't find Carilli. Do you know when that was sent to us?
Oh, here I have it right here.
You have it there?
I do. This,
That's
That's
30
another one
North
with many-
Surfside.
this is one,
Look
okay.
under Jesse.
Oh, it's got a
Terry?
different name?
If you look under Jesse, it's got two former names. It hasn't been Roger Carilli in about
Yeah, that's
two or
right.
three
You
owners.
put it here. Okay.
Is this at
Jesse
30
and
North
Margaret.
Surfside Avenue in North Surfside?
30 North Surfside, I remember that, yes.
Yeah, I have it. Do you have it, Terry?
Well, now she's got me, I gotta look.
It's in that same email.
In which one? The first three? No, it's
Yeah,
not. The
there's 4 in there. Yeah.
first four, that was the second batch. Hang on.
I have a memo from
Okay.
Michael Galalio dated August 10th, 2020 in front of me.
August 10th? That's,
The as written was sent out today.
Oh, okay.
You have it again?
Oh, it was-
Carilli?
Yeah, it's,
oh, it was sent out today.
That's it.
Okay.
Oh, in this group? Let me see.
with the 4 of them.
This is Stephen Cronny,
No,
Yes.
Cronley.
no, we did Cronny.
Wasn't,
You said it said Jesse.
well,
Yeah.
if you look, Cromley now is under Jesse and Margaret
Oh, I have that.
Lacko, but it's still, the document is listed on your email as Cromley. I didn't-
Yeah, I
or I
have
mean,
it.
there's
Oh,
not
wait a minute,
as
wait a minute,
Cromley,
wait.
I'm sorry. I may have
It's not
sent it.
Cronley.
I sent Cromley. All right, so
Yeah.
let's,
I have it. I believe
Well,
I have it.
If you have, I remember seeing it, I just can't.
why don't
find
we
it
do
now.
this? I will send it out again to the board, and at the end of the meeting, we can do this one. That way you
Okay.
have a chance to look at it. And I'll just
Okay.
send it right now.
Sure. Nancy Lynn, is this where it's Jesse and Margot Jekyll, formerly
Yes. Yeah,
Roger Carilli? Yeah.
I'll send it again so everybody has it.
Okay, I
We'll
have
just
it
take
here
the
if you
amount.
need
I
it.
think I just found it.
Oh, let's do it
No,
then.
wait a minute, no. Jeanette, AFFD Properties.
Okay.
No, this is Stein, that was tabled.
Okay, I will send.
Yeah, let's do it again,
Well,
okay.
how about board members? Should I just take care of this right now? I can just read this in, Terry?
let's
You can do that, go ahead,
Do it.
sure, let's do that.
Yeah, let's do it. Okay, in the matter of, it's now it's a resolution amending determination. The matter of the application of Jesse and Margaret Jekyll, formerly Deborah, and William McIntyre, formerly Roger Carilli, tax map number 300-29-1-18.8. And this was a request to modify this determination dated January 31st, 1995, and then February 2nd, 1995, to construct an 1,800 square foot two-story dwelling, driveway with culvert, septic system, public water line, public on a parcel of land containing freshwater wetlands. It was amended on May 25th, 2010, May 26th, 2010, modifying the approved building plans to accommodate a smaller residence with reduced footprint, adding a bridge leading to the premises, amended again October 15th, 2019, filed October 21st, 2019, modifying the septic system to an IA low nitrogen system, adding a cellar entrance, amended again October 29th, 2019, filed October 30th, 2019, which added the reference to maps, building plans, and septic system plans. This is at 30 North Surfside Avenue in Montauk. And the modification as approved was agreed upon by the entire board. So I make a motion to approve this resolution amending determination as written.
Second.
Concur.
Concur.
Thank you. Great. Okay, board members, we are now up to 6:50. It was perfect timing.
Oh, good.
As usual. So we will now move on to our first public hearing. I'll read this in. The applicant is 133 Girard Drive LLC, and the lot size and location is 16,649 square feet at 133 Girard Drive in Springs, tax map number 300-41-2-25. Project description: to allow 78 square foot stairs, 400 total square feet of covered porches, 220 linear feet of fencing, 62 square feet of cellar way to remain, 596 square feet of total decking to be reconstructed, and construct a 16 square foot outdoor shower within the town's jurisdiction of wetlands. The relief sought, a natural resources special permit pursuant to 255-4-20 of the town code, and 6 variances are required for this project. Variances of 9.2 feet, 24.7 feet, 37 feet, 56 feet, and 64.2 feet from section 255-4-30 wetland setbacks of the town code are required to allow the stairs, covered porches, fencing, celery, and decking to remain 90.8 feet, 75.3 feet, 63 feet, 44 feet, and 35.8 feet, respectively, from wetlands where 100-foot setbacks are required. One variance of 12.2 feet from section 255-4-30 wetland setbacks to construct the outdoor shower, 87.8 feet from the wetlands where a 100-foot setbacks are required, and any other relief necessary. This is in an A2 residence zoning district. The flood zone here is AE flood zone elevation 10. The secret class is type 2, and this is in board member Vice Chair Delene's Springs District. Roy, if you take over with your field report, please.
Sure, Mr. Chairman. I'm going to share screen so I can share the photos.
Right.
Let me know. Okay.
There we go.
All right, there you go.
Looks good.
All right, so this is the property, and you can see it was posted, properly posted. Nice job on that posting. I scanned to the south along Girard Drive. You can see the second causeway down at the end there. This is between the first and second causeway. Now I'm looking into the driveway and looking at the residence, 133 Girard Drive beyond. Now I'm gonna walk around the house to the north, and we can see what so we can get a sense of what is going on. There's one of the covered porches, as you see, and there's a covered porch beyond. This is a cellar entryway. The TAM refers to a cellar entryway, but I don't think this is the one that they're referring to. I'll show you. I have a picture of the other one that is showing to with the railroad tie yards, railroad tie retaining wall type of structure. Again,
Vice
this is a
Chair, can I
closer.
stop you for a second? We forgot a step here, Chair.
Oh, posting.
The affidavit, I beg your pardon, my fault. Council, do we have a proper?
But just so we establish jurisdiction here.
Yeah, my apologies.
I do have an affidavit of service and an affidavit of posting, which showed that those were done in actually in July. That can't be right. Postings. I'm sorry. They were done again. I'm sorry. They were originally done in July. They were done again September 11th. So the paperwork appears to be in order.
Thank you, Council. Roy?
Thank you. And also, board members, just so you know, we're going to be working off the latest survey of 5/21/2019. I believe that's the latest one.
Yep.
So this is the north side.
5/21?
That's what I believe I have, yes.
I have one that says July 28th, 2020.
Yeah, that's the latest.
I did not find that one. Okay, I'll look for it when I.
I think it's in Michael's email, Roy, might be the easiest way.
Okay,
I
again,
apologize. Yeah,
can we make sure we get these things on the download site, please? That's critical. It's not on there.
yeah.
So here we are looking at the backyard, looking out at Gardner's Bay. You can see Gardner's Island in the distance there. Again, scanning over at the backyard of the house. You got the deck, you got the hot tub that's referred to on the survey. Taking a look back at the house, you can see the deck, then the hot tub on top of that deck. And then looking south along the deck and the neighbor's house. Now I want to bring this to your attention. You can see there's zero buffer leading into the bay. We need to talk about that, I believe, when we discuss this application. Turning around, looking towards the north in the neighbor's property. And again, turning north to see the further down the shoreline. Standing from the shoreline, looking back at the house. And then looking at this southern part of the house. And if you see it down there, that I believe is the entrance to the basement that the TAM is referring to. It's made out of railroad ties, and you see how they bring the steps up, and then you'll see a closer picture of the steps going down. And the TAM refers to it as believing that that's a reason to keep water out of the basement, is this little structure here. And I believe that's the last photo.
Thank you, Roy. Roy, I have the survey on my screen if you want me to share, pull that up, or someone else.
That's great. I'll stop sharing.
Okay, so I'll go ahead and share the screen then.
You can put it up, Chairman.
Oh, okay, great. I'll let you do that. Thanks, Michael. I apologize. Thank you. Board members, any questions from Roy?
No.
No? Okay.
All right, Mr. Chair, I just want to make note that it's this survey. This is what I was noticing on the 2019 survey, that it was not clear what structures were being removed or added or whatever, but this seems to show it. So, thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Roy. Okay, do we have the agent or the applicant on the line here?
Yes, you do. She's
Sorry. Hi, Shannon McCaffrey from Joists Planning.
Hi, Shannon. Good evening. I will go ahead and swear you in, Shannon. If you raise your right hand, do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you. Good evening again.
Good evening, Chairman Whalen and board members. I'm Shannon McCaffrey of Joists Planning and represent the owners of 133 Gerard Drive. The property is located on the eastern side of the first causeway of Gerard Drive and fronts on Gardner's Bay. This property has had an interesting history and has been in the front of the zoning board multiple times. Going through the files, many of the improvements we're seeking approval for seem to have been in existence for quite some time, but either attempted to or never applied for the proper approvals. On the George Walbridge survey dated June 12th, 1991, attached a certificate of occupancy 11936 dated March 23rd, 1993. We can see the property was improved with a 1.5-story dwelling, 2-story addition, decking, and retaining walls to allow the driveway to go down into the basement. We believe this house used to be a scalloper's house, which they would back down the driveway into the basement to unload that day's catch. Since the CO, there was a ZBA application made in 2009 that received approvals for the same covered porch that we're applying for tonight. The survey for that application depicts most of the improvements we're also applying for. The current application was originally made under the previous owners whose goal were to maintain everything on the property. The new owners, Kiara and Ezra Kraus, are looking to have the property comply and receive a new clean certificate of occupancy. They have modified their original application to remove the hot tub and reconstruct the area of deck it currently is in. They have also proposed to remove the bathtub and relocate the outdoor shower to be further from wetlands. The first variance we are seeking is to allow stairs to remain 90.8 feet from wetlands. This area was originally a part of the driveway that allowed access to the basement. The driveway has since been reconfigured. These steps were likely added for safety to no longer allow vehicles to go down the slope. The next variance requested is to allow the covered porch to remain 75.3 feet from the wetlands. This was approved in 2009, and the previous owners built it. However, it never received a CO. We request that the board will reapprove this. We are also requesting a variance to allow the cellarway to remain 33.3 feet from wetlands. Access from this area does not look to be new. On the survey from the 2009 determination, it shows fewer stairs into the cellarway. It looks like the previous owner added additional steps to go up and then back down. This was likely done to help with flooding in the basement during rainstorms. We are also requesting a variance to allow 220 linear feet of fencing to remain 63 feet from wetlands. This has been erected for a very long time. The next variance is to construct an outdoor shower 87.8 feet from wetlands. Currently, there is a deck that has an outdoor shower and bathtubs 33.3 feet from wetlands. The new owners would like to build a new shower further from wetlands and connect it to a dry well. As mentioned in the technical analysis memo, although there are locations that may meet the 100-foot setback, this would require further disturbance by having to run pipes underground. The final variance we are seeking is to remove the hot tub and allow the decking to remain. The new owners understand the detriment to having a hot tub in an area like Gerard Drive. The hot tub is currently built into the decking, and we request that we are able to rebuild that area of deck. The 1993 CO shows extensive decking, and going through the property file, it looks like the configuration of decking has changed throughout the years. This current configuration looks to be less than what was received on that CO, but the new owner would like to maintain and document what is currently built. We're in support of all the conditions of approval, except for the expansion of the scenic easement and declaration of covenants and restrictions. We agree to have the 10-foot planted buffer along the edge of lawn, and will submit the planting plan to the planner for approval. Given that the planted buffer and geographical features in the area between the edge of lawn and the current scenic easement, it would not permit any development in this area. The town definition of a scenic easement is as follows. An easement or similar interest in real property which limits or restricts development, management, or use of open space or other real property for the purpose of preserving and maintaining the scenic, open, natural, and existing character, conditions, significance, or amenities of the open space or other real property. So when we read it, it seems as though the requirement for here does not fit the community, does not benefit the community or the environment in any way. It cannot protect against Mother Nature, and we cannot develop in this area. In fact, it only adds an additional level of burden for the owners and will delay the building permit process, especially when you consider the protection that a scenic easement is designed to provide. It already exists in this situation. The recent approval just up the road at 91 Gerard Drive did not require the recording of any legal documents. Currently, it's pretty difficult to record documents with the county because we're not able to go in person to record. Everything is being done by mail. We request that the board consider not requiring legal documents since there would be no future development in this area.
Okay.
I'm sorry, could you point out again with the cellarway that requires the 56-foot variance? Can you point that out to me again?
The cellarway with the 56 square variance, that's the one that runs along the side,
That
right
side.
there.
So where's the 44 foot? Where's the 44 feet, Mark?
It might have gotten taken off of this survey, but I think it was on the last survey.
On this?
We've done a lot of edits to this.
Okay. So that would be from the wetland down there.
Yeah, the
Right.
southern wetland.
Top, yeah.
Now, if you take a look at this survey relative to the existing condition where the water line is, the grass line is relative, there's no buffer going into the bay. You want to address the need for a buffer.
Yeah, we're totally fine with doing the 10-foot buffer along the edge of a line of lawn that was mentioned in the technical analysis memo.
Board members, any other questions?
Well, so that 10 foot would be from the edge of lawn going back toward the dwelling?
Towards where the scenic easement
Toward
currently,
the scenic easement.
or no, wait, hold on.
Toward the dwelling,
Yeah,
With the dwelling?
I believe so. We wouldn't be
Right, we would, right.
vegetating
That's why I was asking, yes.
beyond that. We'd be into to the shoreline, basically.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we can have Michael cover, but Shannon, so where it says edge of lawn,
yeah.
Correct.
10 feet west.
10 feet landward of that line.
Yes, that's fine.
Yeah.
Right, so you'd be between that line and the steps of the deck with the 10 feet, correct?
Yes. Yeah.
And what happens? Okay, and then, yeah, and where it says edge of lawn, again, I can ask Roy, but I'm trying to see I see where the mean high water line is. So that would be all the sand, that's basically the sand that we see there on the seaward side of that edge of lawn, I guess,
Yeah,
right?
with the cobblestone, that was
And
the
you
edge
would
of the.
So you intend on leaving that, but revegetating the 10 feet. And I can't recall, what do you intend on revegetating with, Shannon?
We would do whatever Mike would want us to plant with. We can do there's a lot of beach grass in the area, so we can do beach grass plantings. But if there's any other native species that he would like to see, we can
Yeah, so we could,
implement those as well.
yeah, so that would be good. Maybe Michael has something kind of hardy that maybe would stand up better, but I'll defer to Michael on that.
Yeah.
Well, great, thank you. Board members, any other questions for Shannon?
I have no questions.
Nope.
Okay, let's hear from the planning department. Michael?
Board members, Mike Delisle for the planning department.
Good evening, Michael. I'll swear you in, Michael. Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
Thank you, Michael.
I'm just going to switch back to the screen share for a moment. Yeah, so we'd be suggesting a buffer along that edge of lawn. Here's the aerial from 2018. Somewhere along, basically the 10 feet along here. We don't feel it'd be too cumbersome with the current improvements.
Mm-hmm.
Regarding the scenic easement and the recordation, we're still in favor of it. I'm happy that they're agreeing to the buffer, but there's, aside from looking up a ZBA determination in the future, a new owner may not have the ability to know that area isn't to be disturbed. Recording it with the county would ensure that it would show up in a title search. Regarding 91 Abellis, it's a bulkheaded property, so there's really not an area, to create a buffer or scenic easement in that case. That's like kind of up for the board to discuss. I still think the measure, additional measures are always better. I can understand the issue with the county at the moment, but I don't know if that should stop the board from changing its practices. Regarding the variance was requested, as Shannon alluded to, a lot of these have been kind of seen by the board in one form or another over the years. Here is the existing conditions memo that I sent to the board, but included in that was the approval survey for the application. And so this is the porch that they requested in 2009. And you can see the configuration of that, the cellar entranceway here, the entranceway here, the decking with the hot tub. This has obviously been cut back and amended. So it's all come under the board's view in one form or another. With the removal of the hot tub, the removal of the additional decking where the tub was, the ground level decking, we think that's definitely an improvement over the way that it was initially viewed. You can see the tub in the background here. Sorry. And a lot of the improvements are currently over already improved areas, second floor decking, porches, of the like. The only new proposed structure is that outdoor shower, which, you know, as I mentioned in the assessment, there are conforming locations, but it would put it somewhere out in the lawn, which may not seem reasonable. Regarding the revegetation, probably something, a combination of beach grass and bayberry would probably suffice. The bayberry along the western side of it, you know, delineating the area, and then the beach grass kind of mixed in. I also want to show you, you know, the aerial from the aerial from 2013, which shows the extent of the damage.
Michael, before you go there, just while you have this photo up, given the loggerheads over the scenic easement, would there be any additional benefit environmentally to improving the vegetation closest to the wetlands that we're trying to protect with some of these variances?
Through the scenic easement itself?
No. In lieu of the scenic easement, meaning on the whatever that is, the southern side of the property where we have the wetlands, is there any benefit to potentially asking the applicant to improve the vegetation there associated with protecting those wetlands?
I mean, there is definitely a benefit there to adding more vegetation to the area. As you can see in the survey, you know, the wetland is kind of just off the property. So in comparing the aerial, there is kind of other improvements, kind of what would be in between the area of revegetation over here and the wetland. But I mean, any additional vegetation in the area would be a benefit to that wetland. It may not be as impactful as if this area hadn't been cleared over here, but it definitely would be a benefit over the current. I don't know if that answers your question.
Yep, thank you.
Okay. So this is 2013 after Superstorm Sandy, and you can see the area was completely overrun and flooded. I mean, Girard Drive is one of our most vulnerable areas in town. It just they just finished in the last year the kind of the rebuilding and raising of the road in an effort to prevent the continual flooding of Girard Drive. So these properties on this side are especially susceptible to storms. So any future improvements or any expansion over the existing footprint, the planning department really would not be in favor of, and the board shouldn't take lightly in their discussion. But being that the majority of these improvements are over improved areas, over areas that have previously been used in other forms, such as the driveway that had been over here. You know, it's we really do just leave this up to the board to decide. We don't really have a significant opinion, being that there's not an large increase over what was previously there, including the hot tub, the other tub. If anything, this is a step back and kind of a cleaning up of the history of the property. With that, I leave myself open for any questions from the board.
Okay, Michael, thanks for all your work on this. Appreciate that.
Yeah, the fence requires a variance also of 37 feet. Is that in that same area, the southern part? Looks like it.
This fence over here, believe it or not, had been on the previous COs. So the variance request for the fencing is actually this northern section up here from mean high water. So this section had been on the last COs and had been there for a number of years at that point and documented by the town. So this is the only section that was new compared to the old COs, is this section up here. So this is the variance for the fencing.
What is that dash line, Michael? I see what says fence. Are there two fences, or what is that dash line that you're on right now, right there? Yeah. That line, what is that?
I think it's edge of
clearing?
Yeah, I believe it would be the edge of clearing along that boundary.
Yeah,
It would include this.
that would be that line. Okay,
Yeah.
okay. Okay. Thank you. Any other questions, board members, for Michael? No? Mike at LTV, do we have any public on the wait list?
No, we do not have any callers on the line.
Thank you. Okay, Shannon, any final comments from you?
Just that we're amenable to the 10-foot planted buffer, and we would just like the board to consider not requiring the legal documents.
How long would it take you, Shannon, to file with the county that if the scenic easement?
It's a lot of back and forth. I mean, we've been going back and forth on another project for like about 3 months with the county, just because if there's anything missing, they're in a huge queue. It takes like 8 weeks just to get them to review, and then they mail it back to you. You have to fix everything and mail back and get into that queue again. So that's the only issue that we see.
Yeah, and the reason I mentioned, I'm sure you're trying to get things cleaned up, which we commend you for, or the owners in the app. But Nancy Lynn, is there something, say, just for instance, say this board wanted to have that scenic easement was, compelled in the determination by this board. Is there something in the determination where it could be a condition where it gets filed, or do you know what I'm going here?
Yeah.
Nancy Lynn?
We can, usually we have that it needs to be filed before the certificate of occupancy can be issued. But you can do a longer period of time on that, and that it be filed within 6 months or 9 months or a year of getting the certificate of occupancy.
Otherwise, that CO would be revoked until it was taken care of, or something like that.
It could be. Then they would be in violation of the conditions of their approval if they didn't do it within that time.
Right.
That tying it to the obviously it's easier for us to make sure it's done if it's before the certificate of occupancy, but it doesn't have to be done. So we do have some leeway with that.
Well, thank you, Nancy Lynn, for that. Yeah, because we all know we're kind of in strange times here, and I know from all sorts of things, the county health, there's so much backup going on. So that's helpful, Nancy Lynn. Shannon, any other comments before we wrap up here?
No, I think that's it.
Actually, I have a question. We had the discussion perhaps of some other revegetation on the southern property line. How does your client feel about that? Do you know if they'd be amenable to that?
It's something I would have to discuss with them. I didn't broach that topic with them before this, but I know that the public comment's open for 2 weeks, so I can submit something in writing with their feelings on that.
Okay. Okay, board members, any other questions? No? Okay, Roy, would you like to close us out here, please?
Sure, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion then to close the public hearing, but leave the record open for until 2 weeks after the posting of the transcript for 133 Gerard Drive LLC, Suffolk Tax Map number 300-41-2-25.
Second.
Concur.
And I concur as well. Okay, thank you all. Thank you, Shannon.
Thank you.
Thank you, Michael, for your work on this. Okay, we will move on next to Dan and Julie Resnick. I will read this in.
Hang on a second. No,
Oh, yeah.
Chair, I don't believe you can. I think we're too early.
Oh, I beg your pardon. Yes.
Yeah, this
Is it
one,
7:30?
can only start till 7. I can start it at 7:30.
So you know what I'm thinking, Council? We have only one other after this. We were discussing earlier, we do have Ruru Properties, and we will be further discussing the draft EIS next week. But Council, for a few minutes, I wonder maybe we could just get into this. Maybe we'd start off by you just kind of giving the public a briefing of what we will be dealing with. Would you mind doing? I'm putting you on the spot, Nancy.
That's okay. I was sending information to the members today, so I have some of this pretty much at hand. We're reviewing, the last time the board met on this, we did a final scoping of what needed to be in the draft EIS. That was provided to the applicant. The applicant has now provided back to the board within the time frame as requested their draft EIS. And now the ball is back in the board's court to determine whether or not the materials submitted are sufficient in order for us to have hearings, to review it, to discuss it, and then create a final EIS. The board actually is responsible for creating that, a final EIS that then is the basis for the board to consider the environmental impacts of this project. So just to kind of give everybody a sense is that the EIS, whether it's a draft or the final, is actually a document that it's supposed to impartially analyze the full range of potential significant adverse environmental impacts of a proposed action and how those impacts can be avoided or minimized. And so that's the context that we're looking at here. It is not supposed to be a partial, this is our proposal. It's supposed to be, what are all the issues here that we have to kind of sift through in analyzing the proposal. So it's environmental aspects, project planning and design. We had, as we did in the scoping, we talked about the significant adverse environmental impacts and evaluating alternatives to see if there's any way to avoid those or minimize them. So this is at this stage, we're just seeing whether or not enough information has been provided in the draft EIS in order for us to start having a meaningful discussion, including of whether or not we have a public hearing with that as well. But that so all interested agencies can and interested parties can participate in that and kind of look at this project in that light to determine whether or not it's the best possible way to approach this project.
Thank you, Nancy.
This should have some extensive detail, right,
Yes.
on the recommendations.
Yes, I mean, there's,
Can I bring up section E? Or
I mean, I think that, I think that.
I mean, looking at it, I just thought there should be a lot more information in that. And I guess that's fair when we're going over this analysis.
Yes, and I think that Brian's preparing, a memo, but with our very short time frame, because we have a very short turnaround time frame, to get a written response back to them. When the board is looking through this, any deficiencies or concerns that you might have in looking that if you forward those to Brian and myself, maybe we can start incorporating some of those in, and have a kind of a head start on what we're going to discuss next week on it, so that we can be farther along. I'm one with deadlines. I worry about deadlines. So if we can be farther along to having our finished project, that would make me less anxious.
Thanks, Nancy Lynn. So we will be discussing this next week, obviously, and sending you comments in the meanwhile. So will you want us to make the decision at the end of the meeting, or could we do that? Do we, again, I didn't get to finish this earlier. Is it too much to wait for that decision? I'm fine either way. So if you could guide us on that.
Well, the written copy has to be agreed upon for the 6th. So the board has to adopt the written response on October 6th. So that's why we kind of need a decision made.
So if we discussed it all and you felt you understood our comments, and at the end of the meeting, that would give you the week to write it up, and you could send it a few days earlier for us to review.
Sure. Yes, and like
Would
we
that
do
work?
with determinations, that's fine. I just want to make sure that we're in our discussion next week. We're not at a point where, people are I need to look this over more. I have to get back to you on that, and we don't have a good response on that, because it will make it very difficult to then have a written, a completed copy for you guys to adopt on the 6th.
Right. Okay. So we are forewarned. Thank you, Nancy Lynn.
Can I just ask for clarification, Nancy Lynn? Should we be sending comments directly to you and Brian without copying the board? Or should we be copying everybody as it relates to observations?
I think that probably so to not violate open meetings, I think you should be sending them just to Brian and myself. And then we will be sharing those in our open meeting. But then we'll have a head start on some of those comments that you might have once we do get together in the formal meeting.
I thought as much, so thank you for clarifying that.
Yeah, thanks for asking that, Tim. Appreciate that. Any other comments, board members? We have 3 minutes.
We have the minutes we could do.
Oh, yes, we do. If you would, Tim, I've looked at them myself. They look fine to me.
Yes, so I looked at them as well. In fact, I've got them on my screen now. So I would make a motion to approve the zoning board meeting of September 15, 2020 minutes as submitted.
I second that.
Second. I concur.
And I concur as well. Okay, thank you. Thank you, Tim. I think that brings us to the end.
Just to remind you, after this hearing, don't everyone just run. We still have a modification to do as well, so.
We do, okay.
We do? Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
we do.
Oh, we sure do. We have, of course, we have Tom.
Yes.
Right.
I didn't want you to all be let down when I go, no, don't go anywhere. So just heads up.
Yeah.
Oh, boy.
Okay, we will be starting in about 2 minutes. Here.
Mike, if I can ask, do you have any calls held on the line? Because I know that the attorney for this next applicant may have to call in. She was unable to join Britton on the Zoom link. So
Okay. I do not presently, but as soon as I get any callers, I will inform the chair.
Great, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thanks, Mike. Okay.
On the, there is an actual document, if you guys get all excited about SECR and want more information, that I can prepare for. It's the SECR handbook. I've given you excerpts from it, the board. If you're interested in that, I can send you the link, or we can make hard copies available to you if that's a reference material that would be useful for anyone in going over this. It's something that the state provides through the Department of Environmental Conservation. So if anyone would like a link to that, just let me know, or hard copy, we can make that available for you. So
That's
Is
great.
that the cookbook?
it's not the cookbook, it's the handbook. We like to have different names for things.
Right.
Okay.
It's not Secret for Dummies either. It's.
No, it's not, but it's close. It's close.
I would actually. That would be great to have
I
the
would like
link.
that.
And Nancy Lynn, if that's possible, I would like to have the hard copy and the link if that's okay.
Yep, I can do that.
Great.
Yeah, we'll make copies of them and put them in
Make-
your,
Mailbox.
in the boxes, and we'll email the link so that you can find it online as well.
Great. Thank you. Okay, it looks like thanks, Nancy Lynn, for all that information, and we filled up some time with some valuable knowledge there. So we'll move on now to our second public hearing this evening. The applicants are Dan and Julie Resnick. The lot size and location, 3,548 square feet total at 72 Shore. It says Shore Road, but it's actually Shore Drive East in Amagansett, tax map number 300-107-1-22. The project description is to partially reconstruct and raise the first floor elevation of an existing residence from 5.3 feet to the federal flood zone elevation requirement of 12 feet above sea level, install a new sanitary system, and reconstruct a 354 square foot deck on a parcel of land containing dune land, beach vegetation, and tidal wetlands. The relief sought is a natural resources special permit pursuant to section 255-4-20, variances from section 255-11-72D, relative height limitations, section 255-3-75, harbor protection overlay, district regulations of the town code, and any other relief necessary. 3 variances are required to allow the house to extend beyond the relative height pyramid limitation along the eastern side, western side, and northern street property boundaries by 18 feet 4 inches, 22 feet 6 inches, and 14 feet 6 inches, respectively. A 123-foot variance has been applied for to install the new sanitary system 77.2 feet from wetlands. This is in a zoning district A residence. The flood zone here is AE flood zone elevation 10. And the secret class is type 2. And council, do we have a proper affidavit of service and posting? Excuse me.
The affidavit of posting as well as mailing on the 11th day of September. So the paperwork appears to be in order.
Okay, thank you. Okay, this is in my Amagansett district, and I did a field report, and I will pull up the photos. There you go. You all get to see my good-looking grandson right there. That's all that really matters. Okay, here we go. I will open these up. Okay. This is, some of these are, well, actually, I'll just go the other way. I'll do them in the reverse order. Let's see. Well, I'll give you a sense of where we are here. Here we are looking over on Knappy Bay. You can see my cursor, I believe. You're right. If you can see me moving it around, that's the art barge over there. And we all know the tower and the telephone, the old abandoned, I think they're AT&T or Telegraph buildings or something there. And these look like perhaps some oyster harvesting out there. This is the residence on the left side of the photo. Just wanted to give you a sense of that beautiful, beautiful area right there. This is taking a look down the street. I'm looking about east, almost just a little west of east here. This is just to give you a character of the neighborhood. On the right here is 72. You can see it was properly posted with the bicycle leaning on it. You see there's, just to give you a sense, there's the low cottage, single-story cottage here. There's another single-story cottage, and there's this two-story house. And then if you all know this area, you go down here, there's probably some of the smallest houses in East Hampton along the water here, as far as the character of the neighborhood here. And then here, I'm just kind of zooming back in to give you a sense of the scale of the neighbors. The subject property is on the right side of the photo here. I believe this is their walkway. Maybe it's not their walkway. Maybe it's the neighbors. I guess that would be the neighbor's walkway, pardon me. Here's a view from the street. This is the shed that they intend to take down, and that's reducing their footprint, but this was built illegally, so it's, you know, it's that should be considered. And there was no permit. There was no permit for that portion of the building that will be demolished in the current application. Here I've walked out to the beach. I'm looking back at the deck and the house. As you see, this is the hot tub that I believe is out of the application. You get a sense of kind of what's going on there. Here I'm looking, turning to the right. Again, this is their deck on the left, and this is their residence here with the little smokestack or wood stove probably. And then this is a neighbor here you see, and the other neighbors. Let's see. Oops. Just panning to the left here again, so you get a sense of that side of the house. That's the outdoor shower there. Again, that's the shed that's to be removed. And let's see, what am I up to?
All that grassy area, that's the lot that the CPF?
Yes, this is all this. Yeah, I take a shot of that, I believe. I walked back in there. You know, I stepped out.
All that.
Yeah, it's absolutely beautiful. I'm trying to see if I took a photo looking down there. Maybe I did not. Again, just giving you a sense of what's here. Another elevation of that side of the house. And then again, just panning back to give you a sense of the view there. And that's my field report. Do you have, I will, let's see, unshare. Let's see, Mike, how do I unshare my screen? Mike stop share. There you go.
You got it?
I'm good. Thanks. Board members, any questions on the field report?
Nope.
No?
No.
Okay. Do we have the agent or the applicant on the line, Mike?
Yes. Britton, you're on Zoom?
I am on Zoom. Can you see me and hear me?
Great. We can. I can. Good evening.
Good evening.
I'll go ahead and swear you in, Britton, if you please. Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Excellent.
Good evening, Chairman Whelan, members of the board. I'm Britton Bistrian of 21 Knappy Harbor Road, Amagansett, right across the harbor from this house, representing Julie and Dan Resnick, owners of the property at 72 Shore Drive East in Amagansett. In addition to myself and the owners, the project team is also available by phone. I'm the only one on the Zoom, but I have Dan and Julie, as well as, if there's any specific questions, I also have Tiffany Scarlato, who's the attorney, David Rhodes, the engineer, and Nile Oza, the architect for the project. We're here this evening requesting a natural resources special permit and variance relief for the sole purpose of raising this house and deck to a FEMA compliant height. There are no additions to the residence or any accessory buildings proposed. Further, as John aptly pointed out, the proposal includes removal of 105 square feet of the northern additions to the residence that you saw in the photographs. The initial application was submitted to the zoning board in December of 2018, deemed complete almost a year later in November 19, and we're here for the evening, September 2020. So it's been sort of a long trajectory. As noted, this is a very small lot on the shoreline of Knappy Harbor. The lot size is 3,548 square feet. A lot of people have houses of that size. That's the total area of this property. However, as John pointed out, the cottage size and the lot is very in keeping with lots further down the road. There's a couple houses that are 2-story that are not sort of in keeping with the character, but once you get towards the end of Shore Drive East to the northeastern end, there's a handful of cottages that are, in the 400, 500, 600 square foot range with similar lot sizes. This particular house is home to a year-round local family of 5. And I think it's key to note that 977 square feet of a residence is by no means generous for 2 adults, 2 teenagers, and a 9-year-old to reside in, let alone reducing that house to 872 square feet, which is what the proposal entails. The Resnicks love their home and the life that they have on Knappy Harbor. They clam, they fish, they paddleboard, and they respect the harbor to a great degree. I think you saw in the photographs, the oyster farming is theirs out in front of the house. That one of the town programs. This proposal sole intent is to protect the harbor and their home and to make a substantial investment to upgrade their sanitary system to a low nitrogen system for the health of the harbor and raise their house so that storm impacts will no longer cause them great detriment. I remember not too long ago during Hurricane Sandy in 2012, as you all know, I'm a member of the fire department, and we were all charged with evacuating Lazy Point, and I was evacuated on the other side of the harbor as well. And the feeling of leaving your home and not knowing what would develop in the coming days and hours or what you'd be returning to is a really daunting feeling. And I think that resonated with Dan and Julie and was the reasoning to start thinking about how they could make their house more resilient. That storm hit them pretty hard. They suffered a lot of damage and they were displaced from their home for months. The purpose of this application is solely to avoid repeating that history. As you can see in the file, we've, over this timeline, we've submitted a pretty extensive construction protocol, a statement to respond to Brian's dewatering question, a legal memo on meeting federal FEMA requirements and the NRSP standards. And I hope that the board had the opportunity to review that file. It's pretty extensive. It's our, projection that this application is thoughtful. It's environmentally the best proposal you could have for residents on this lot. It's voting less development than exists. It's integrating energy efficiency, an upgraded septic system, and a revegetated buffer zone to the harbor, which was a request of the New York State DEC in issuing their permit. I will note that we do have a DEC permit, and we also have conditional approval from the health department pending approval from your board. I also believe, I don't know if this was noted, that there's some letters of support in the file. I believe the total, last time I looked, they were uploaded, there was 8 letters of support. I didn't see any letters that were not in support of the application. So I think I'd like to sort of turn the conversation now to have the board discuss it, see if any of the people that we have on the team can answer any specific questions, or if you want me to field them, I'd love to hear them.
I have one right away, Britton, and I may have missed this. I may have missed this in the file. I'm looking at the plans, the elevations here. There's no title block on it. Well, there's a small title. I don't see a date on these, but anyway, it's received September 18th, 2020. So these are current. And you are picking the building up, and I believe you're rotating it. I guess what I'm getting at is the roof. You said in the thing you talk about a new roof. What do you mean by a new roof?
The roof of the existing structure will be replaced.
When you say roof, do you mean the roof and the rafters or just the roofing?
Let me pull out the construction protocol to answer that.
Yeah, I have to go back and look at that. I will be looking at that more carefully too.
Yeah, the purpose of the drawings that you're looking at, the purpose of that was to show there was a little bit of a typographical error in that the FEMA compliant first floor level and the variances requested was actually off. They were a foot larger than required. So the elevations that I submitted last week are a foot less. The 3 pyramid variances have been reduced by a foot by that submittal.
Right, so your BFE should be at 10 feet plus 2, correct?
Correct, 12.
At 12, right. So the reason I'm asking is if you look at the elevations, and obviously there's incredible, very extensive pyramid variance request here on the south and the north elevation. And when you look at the other elevations, I'm kind of wondering, I know these architects are very capable here. I'm kind of wondering why the roof wasn't designed on the west and the east to conform to the pyramid laws there. I mean, it seems like you very easily could have eliminated both of those variances. And I have a feeling they're going to want to.
Are you sure you're looking at that correctly? Do you see the dotted line of the pyramid?
Yes, I do.
The existing house exceeds it.
I know it. No, I know it does, but I'm saying you could have. I'm talking about being able to cut that portion of it off, and it could be like a hip roof on the front, on the water side. It could be. Do you know what I'm saying? It could. I imagine if this is approved, there's going to be very extensive work to make this house come up to kind of building code and insulation, gypboard, and who knows what those rafters are like. But if you look at the west elevation and the east elevation, if you look at the east elevation, correct? The pyramid line is cutting right through the roof, right? You follow me?
Mm-hmm.
That could easily become a hip roof, and you would just take away that whole variance. Or you might have a 1 foot variance if you went up to the 8 foot top plate line. Do you follow me? I'm just wondering I'm just asking, is there a reason why that wasn't done? Or
I don't think
and you have an extensive overhang on the west elevation, and it just seems like you could have designed your way out of these 2 variances. I'm wondering, is there any reason that I don't know about? And we can let the architects speak to
Yep,
that.
I might punt over to them, but I don't think can you just walk me through it one more time? You're looking at the east elevation and the line of the pyramid.
Yes, and I'm looking at the west elevation and the line of the pyramid.
Right.
And imagine just cutting off what's not conforming. That's what I'm talking about.
But you'd be cutting into the square footage of the house on the east.
No, you wouldn't. No, maybe you would have a 1 foot. Maybe you'd have a 1 foot variance there instead of that whole portion of the roof. But let's just leave it at that. Like, you can let the architects discuss that maybe.
Excuse me, Chair, if I may, I just wanted to mention that one of the architects just called in. We haven't had anyone on the phone up until this moment, just to say, but I will unmute that now if you'd like.
Well, I can let's hold. Thanks, Mike. We can hold off. We can get around. There might be some other questions. I'll stop for now. Board members, some questions for Britton?
It just seems to me, Mr. Chair, if you look at the north and the south, though, the major part of the pyramid is on the north and the south elevations.
Yes, you're right. You're right. It certainly is. Yes. Yeah. It certainly is.
I think the chairman, if you don't mind, I would love to have Nilay address the design at this point.
Okay, sure.
I think he's on the phone.
Yes, Chair. Just one moment. I'll unmute that call right now.
Thanks, Mike.
You're welcome.
Yeah. Hi, John. I can speak to that if you. Yeah.
Okay, Nilay.
So
Nilay, I'm going to first maybe introduce yourself, and then I'm going to swear you in, please.
Okay, got it.
Do you want to introduce yourself for the record?
Nilay Oza, architect,
Okay.
Oza Sabbath architect.
Thank you, Nilay. I don't believe you're an attorney, so maybe you are, but do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
Great. Good evening, Nilay. Go ahead. If you want to go ahead and discuss your design here.
Yeah, there's a delay, so I'll be a little discombobulated, but there is one variance on the north side, which is relatively minor, but to architecturally adjust that, it requires a fair bit of, yeah. So, John, you're right that there's one variance, which is, so there is a,
Is everyone hearing him?
No. Yeah, Neela, you're going out.
yeah, there's a massive delay between the visual and the audio. So, John,
Excuse me,
let's
sir,
just
if I
discuss
could
this
just
later
interject,
because I don't think I can follow along with the audio and the video together. I
Mr.
apologize.
Chairman,
Yeah, well,
Mr.
hold
Chairman.
on. Let's listen to Mike. Go
So
ahead,
this
Mike.
is the technician from LTV. Sir,
Yeah.
if you're watching this, if you're available to watch it on LTV's website, there's a link to our YouTube page, which virtually has no delay, versus our video on demand page. It's right on the homepage of ltveh.org.
I think it'd be probably better for him to discontinue trying to do both watch and talk.
Yeah, let's move along. Yeah, let's move along. And Neela, see if you can go on. You can get that worked out.
Okay.
Okay. Board members, do you have any questions right now?
I'd like to hear from the planning department.
Okay, no more questions. Okay. We'll go to the planning department now, and then Neela, when you can always come back at the end and we can discuss this more. So let's go to Brian Frank. Brian, are you there?
I am.
Great. Good evening, Brian. I'll go ahead and swear you in. Brian, do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, board members.
Follow along with the audio and the video together. I apologize.
Okay, could we mute the?
Yeah, Mike, can you mute Neela
Yes.
for now, please?
Yes, I've done that.
Thank you. Go ahead, Brian, please. Thank you.
Sure, board members. I'd like to begin by telling you that I can't even tell you how many applications for the zoning board I've reviewed over the years, and I found reviewing this application one of the most challenging applications I've ever had to look at, and that may seem odd for what seems like physically a small project compared to some of the large development plans that we see out here on Eastern Long Island in our natural resources area. But this application presented a lot of challenges because it really does kind of highlight some of the competing and contrasting interests in coastal resiliency planning, which is something that most planners, environmental analysts are in coastal areas are trying to look towards the future and trying to minimize the damage that has occurred in the past by looking forward for what these properties are going to be like over time, especially in the face of sea level rise and climate change. Ordinarily, bringing houses into compliance with FEMA and upgrading sanitary systems are a slam dunk, no-brainer in terms of good coastal planning. On this property, the constraints of the lot are so severe that a lot of the benefits that you get from bringing a house into compliance with FEMA and putting in a new sanitary system are limited or reduced by a variety of factors. As Britton had mentioned earlier, the lot is about 3,500 square feet. This might be the smallest property that the board has reviewed. I don't want to say ever, that's probably a little too dramatic, but it actually might be. There are a number of 4,000 square foot properties that the board has looked at in Beach Hampton and in the Maidstone Park area of town. But this is at 3,500 square feet of total lot area, not even excluding the area that's wetland. This really is physically one of the smallest properties that has come before the board. You combine the small size of this property with the low elevations of the land and the really the fragility of all of the evacuation routes that are necessary to evacuate an area like this. The roads like Crasson Boulevard and Lazy Point Road, Cranberry Hole Road, Knappy Meadow Road are all tremendously vulnerable.
Apologize.
And that's mostly what we're talking about here is coastal flooding. This is inside of Napeague Harbor. This is, at least fortunately, not often a high wave energy area. Yet despite that, it's surrounded by wetlands, especially to the south and obviously the shore side. And so are many of the evacuation routes. I have the survey up now, but I'd like to show you some of the, the character of the neighborhood and some of the properties from the aerial. You have all of these in your file already in one form or another.
Chair, if I may, I have a Tiffany Scarlato on the phone.
Okay, she can hold off. We'll finish up with Brian for now, and then we can kind of go back and forth a bit. Okay, thanks, Mike.
You're welcome.
Well, let me, we've been talking about the character of the neighborhood a little bit. This is the character of the neighborhood. The Resnick property is the one bordered in blue at the bottom part of the picture. This is Crasson Boulevard. This is Shore Drive East. Mr. Chairman, both you and Britton commented on the, the general character of the neighborhood is what you might call cottage or bungalow style development. They are among the smallest properties in town, and the Resnick property is one of the smallest properties on Shore Drive. It's an interesting contrast. This is a photo of an aerial photo from 2001. Member Berger had mentioned the adjoining property. I guess you call it to the south most accurately. This property was a property that was, it was an improved property. It was purchased by the town in, I think, 2016. Britton's familiar with it. She was the agent who procured the natural resources special permit for the demolition of the improvements. This house was demolished. The property was restored, and now it's town-owned open space. So it forms an interesting contrast that here you have a property that was undeveloped and naturalized, and just next door on a much smaller property, we're talking about redeveloping a property with the intent and I'm sure the hope of the property owners that it'll be resilient to coastal processes for at least 20 years or more. This, you have some of this in your file now. This is a map of the flood zones in the area. You can see that the AE flood zone, the area that's mapped as an actual flood zone, extends well beyond the properties on Shore Drive, fairly far up Crasson Boulevard. This dashed blue line is the limit of moderate wave action boundary. That's a FEMA mapped feature, and that feature maps the area that has been projected to have the potential to have up to a 1.5 foot inundation by direct wave action, and it's usually, if not always, found landward of the velocity flood zone here, which you see shaded in red. So the Limois line, as it's often called, it's probably not dead accurate on this aerial because it shows it going, well, it is actually. it comes right up to the corner of the house. And if you have the survey, you can see that. Another mapping feature is the Sea and Lake Overland Surge map. It's acronym. Government loves acronyms. This is the SLOSH map, and it shows the areas that would be inundated in the various, in the 4 different categories of hurricanes. And in a Category 1 hurricane, not dissimilar to the flood zones you see all of Shore Drive and considerably going up Crescent Boulevard as being inundated in a Category 1 hurricane, the lowest category of hurricane there is. So this is the property, and this is the most current area that we have. This is Resnick here. This is the adjoining property that has been naturalized. Generally, they must be a tight family, because a 3,500 square foot lot with a 900 square foot house is really, from a planning perspective, not the area that you would imagine to be occupied year round by a family of 5. I can certainly empathize with their desire to improve the safety of the house. I can't imagine the anxiety of being evacuated and not knowing what you come back to. I have friends going through that right now in California for a very different reason. But I do think it's important to recognize that the constraints of the property are so severe that raising the house up will limit, will reduce the potential for structural damage, and that's important. But the surrounding area is still going to remain vulnerable. The average elevation of this property above sea level is 3.5 feet above sea level. The highest spot is 4.1 feet above sea level. We're talking about bringing the first floor up to 12 feet above sea level to meet the flood zone elevation requirements. So we're talking about a very low, very fragile property in what amounts to a very low and fragile area surrounding the property. The sanitary system is an IA system. It's in the most conforming location on the property. It's been designed to meet the 2-foot separation to the groundwater table that's required. Well, it's allowed to by health department regulations in high water table elevations. By the way, the application was noticed for the sanitary variance, I think, out of I think the applicant applied for that out of abundance of caution, but I would respectfully offer that I don't think the upgrade of the sanitary system needs a variance. I think it would be remiss if we didn't include it in the notice because the applicant requested it, but I don't think it requires a variance for them to install that IA system in conjunction with this with raising the house. Maybe there's enough work going on that it does trigger a mandated upgrade, but on its face, sanitary system upgrades in place or in a more conforming location generally do not require variances. But that 2-foot separation of groundwater is only going to last as long as, or it's going to start diminishing over time as sea level rises. And we know that sea level is rising. That's not a theory, it's a fact. There's a lot of speculation about how fast it'll rise based on a variety of other parameters, but it is absolutely rising. And over time, that bottom of that leaching system will be closer to the water table than its design elevations now. I do want to emphasize that is still infinitely better than probably what the existing system is doing. The fact that it doesn't have an on-site waste disposal system, it probably doesn't have any separation to the groundwater table. I think that's probably the case for many of the systems here. So it's still a good upgrade. But again, the idea of resilient, sustainable development over the long term is real questionable in this area because of the size of the property and the elevations. It's 77 feet from the shoreline. It's the best they can do. ideally on an upgrade, you'd get 150 feet away, and in a new sanitary system, it would be 200 feet away.
Brian, thank you, Brian, for that. Could you just kind of touch base a little bit? I mean, you sort of are already, but on the comprehensive plan for this area, what, if you please?
Well, I didn't review or cite the comp plan in this assessment. I did provide what I thought were some relevant sections for the board to consider from the zoning code regarding the compatibility of zoning and the special permit standards. And you'll note that Ms. Scarlato did the same in her memorandum of law, and the board is going to have to weigh those. The record is still open. If you want excerpts from the comp plan for this area included in the file, that's something I think that's your discretion to request.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I do see what you've referenced. Thank you, Brian.
Brian?
I'm sorry.
No, Brian, do you have any numbers or this particular shoreline over here, how much has been lost or how much the sea level has risen in this particular area? That's something that is even available?
I don't have any hard numbers. If you take if we go back to the area of Shore Drive, gosh, this isn't the best one to do it. What you'll find in this area, this is kind of a relatively low wave energy area, and that's supported by the fact that there is somewhat of an intertidal marsh here. Everywhere, by the way, a few lots north of the Resnick property, most of the shoreline is hardened with a retaining wall. There's a property here that the zoning board looked at just a couple of years ago when the retaining wall was rebuilt. Those aren't really, I guess you could debate whether they're erosion control structures, but I would classify them more as retaining walls. They're not, the walls along this area don't keep the water out so much as it keeps the fill that the houses are built on behind the walls. But there is a fringe along the marsh here, and in an area that's battered by waves on a regular basis, it's too high of a wave energy to get Spartina orthiniflora, which is the marsh plant here. One thing I do want to point out, and I think that I think one of the chairman's photos, it was probably close to high tide when you made your site visit today, Mr. Chairman, but you could see where the water line is on one of your shots facing north. And I do want to point out that there has been some alterations to the shoreline that should be corrected if the permit is issued as requested. There is a small line of hand-placed boulders, and underneath here there are sandbags that should be removed if the permit's going to be issued. But I think it's indicative of just how fragile this area is to a rising elevation. This is, well, I can't use this photo to really speculate where mean high water is. My guess is it's somewhere along where the footprints are, but you know that's going to change at different points along the lunar cycle. It's obviously going to be, you know, higher at the full of the new moon, and maybe a little bit lower on the half moons.
Yeah.
So again, this is this was a very challenging application to evaluate with the town code standards. The variances are obviously numerically substantial. Arguably, the board will have to determine if they are the minimum necessary in conjunction with bringing a house, the existing house, into compliance with FEMA. Among the purposes of zoning are to provide for orderly growth, protect the character of the neighborhood and natural resources. Elevating this house is going to change the character of the neighborhood to a certain extent. The board will have to determine how adverse those are. Again, Chairman Whelan's photos, you could see that you can see the arc barge from this property. Similarly, there are, you can see the houses on Shore Drive from Knappy Meadow Road. Certainly the surface waters of Knappy Harbor itself, and from many areas within the 4,000 square feet of open space, 4,000 acres of open space that surround these areas. As you know, that there is an immense network of state, county, and town-owned open space throughout the Knappy Harbor watershed.
Brian, thank you, Brian. Just a quick question. Some of us recall, actually, we were working with Neelay's office across the way, across Knappy Harbor, or at least the beginning we were on that project. And it was, again, it was raising to meet FEMA, and it was, pyramid variances, nothing at all to this magnitude with regard to the variance requests for the pyramid law. And Brian, not to try to put you on the spot, but I've been, 6.5 years on the board. Do you recall anything at this level with regard to the pyramid law? I just, in this area specifically, is what I'm getting at. Any projects? And again,
No,
I don't.
There hasn't been much construction on Shore Drive East that I'm aware of. I'm aware of only one. I don't know the extent of pyramid. I think the most, Beach Hampton has seen some significant pyramid variances, and Girard Drive as well for some obvious reasons. But I wouldn't want to speculate and compare the magnitude of those variances to this application off the cuff.
Yeah. I could say even on Girard, from my recollection, I don't recall ever something coming in quite at this level, even on Girard Drive. But that's any board members, any other questions for Brian? And then we can go back to the applicants and the attorney. Board members?
For me.
Roy?
I'm good. I'm good.
Okay.
No.
Britt, you will.
If I may, I do want to offer,
Please.
to facilitate the discussion, if the applicants or the board, obviously, of course, want any of the survey, the plans on the shared screen, just ask if it
Please.
facilitates the hearing.
Thank you. I will say right away, as Britton gets together, I think it would be great, Brian, if you could pull up the and then maybe if you could walk us just through the plans and the elevations, just so it's fresh and the public gets to see what we're talking about here, and then Britton, we'll move it back to you and your team. Okay. So here, I don't even mind walking, mentioning, so you can see what you're looking at. It's sort of to follow up on my field report. I'll make a few comments here. So for the public looking at this, the north elevation, what we're looking at the top of the sheet there, that would be the street side of the, that would be on the south, on the Shore Drive East elevation is the top picture, and the triangle that you're looking at the bottom is the pyramid law, the constraints of the pyramid law, which is basically a 45-degree angle from grade going up from both sides of the property line. The south elevation at the bottom of that sheet you're looking at is the elevation from the water, looking back at the house. And again, you see the pyramid elevation, the pyramid line law lines there, that pyramid as well. And then maybe you can move to the others, Brian. We'll consider that. And now we're looking again, the west. So these would be the side elevations. So the east would be the water again. On the top of the page, the water would be to the right side of the sheet, and the street would be on the left side there. And this is what the neighbors, well, actually, this would be from the reserved area that the town purchased with CPF. That would be the view there on the top side of the page. The bottom sheet, the east elevation, is what the neighbor would be looking at. That's right close to them. And again, the water's on the left. and then maybe just the plan you can pull up. That's a cross section. Again, you see that pyramid line very clearly there. Everything that's above that pyramid line it would be a request of the variance with this application. The plan, Brian, if you could, no rush.
I'm sorry, I don't have those in this PDF.
That's right.
I'll get them if you want. If
we have them, I just thought
I'll get them. I thought they were here. I don't know why.
I think Roy said he has them.
Roy has them.
Roy has them. Yeah.
If they're convenient, otherwise we can move on to, I think the key here is not so much the plan. We see that on the survey. The key here is the elevations in the section, but go ahead, Terry. Did you have a question?
Yeah, well, yeah, okay. Yeah, bear with me here. On the west elevation and the east elevation, what is on this first floor? I thought the house is being raised, and there is only one floor above that.
So that
it shows a door. What is that?
Let's jump over to Britton. Britton, if you can jump in here, I'm finished up, and then you can start answering these, Britton, if you please, or Nile.
Yeah, I'm just confirming that the drawings that are in the file are not accessible. I can't show you floor plans.
Okay.
Is that true? Or
I'll find them.
There's no way we can access the the project plans for this?
Oh, I think we can.
I mean, they were uploaded onto the town site, so
Yeah.
I don't know.
Roy, you're
It just,
muted.
it's sort of tying my hands in terms of discussing pyramid versus discussing plans and looking at an elevation.
Guys, I have them on my screen if you want me to share the screen.
Yeah, go ahead, Roy, please.
Yeah.
All right.
And then, Britton, you can continue once he pulls that up on the screen. And if you'd like us to go back to the elevations, Britton, we can pull those up for you as well.
Okay, I think I'll stick to just sort of an overview in terms of responding to the things that were said. I just want to highlight, because there was a lot said about, there are no additions to this project. This project is solely to meet the federal FEMA flood height. So it's reducing square footage. It has the environmental benefits of an upgraded septic and a buffer. I know I heard you, I don't think there's anything else that I missed on this project in terms of any other environmental benefit that could possibly be found. The lot is 3,500 square feet. I think it's a little bit unfair to compare it to, I believe you're comparing it to 91 Knappy Harbor Road, which is 4.5 times the size. This lot's 35 feet wide. There's no way you couldn't require pyramid variances. There's also a very good diagram that Nile did, which I'm going to let him speak about in terms of why to address John's question. And I'm hoping that I guess the file does stay open, because because the shoreline is not the house is not square to the shoreline property line. There's a pyramid study that you should really see from the south that would explain more the roof line.
Can I jump in and ask you, since we're looking at the plan, Britton, is two questions. One, is this the current plan, or are things changing here? What are we looking at?
They should be August of 2019.
No, I'm asking if his floor plan is the current existing plan and you pick the house up, or if you're changing the interior walls.
That is the proposed plan. And that is the current proposed plan.
So what are you, at the end of the day, what are you keeping of the existing house?
Sorry, John, may I interrupt you for a second? Mike, could you pull Nile off of the line, please?
Yes, just a moment, Chair and Board, one moment.
Hi, can everybody hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay. So, John, we are the existing home, as the structural report says, is principally unusable. So we are recreating the structure, but moving the plan and the same size up to be compliant with FEMA. So the floor plate, we'll keep all of that, but we basically have to comply with the structural report to see what it is that we can maintain. Your initial question was about the roof. The roof will be reframed per the structural report.
That's
that
what I
make sense?
figured. Yeah, that's what I was getting at. And what about the floor joist and the walls, the exterior walls? What are you
Well,
keeping?
It's
Is it
per the structural report, the intention is to essentially take the deck up and lift everything. We will be recreating a new top plate, which is why we've identified that height, and keeping as much of the structure as possible in that process. But the roof, we already know, has to be replaced, clearly.
what about the sidewalls?
The sidewall, I believe there is a structural report that indicates how to brace the existing sidewalls and lift them up. I just don't know the exact verbiage of it. It's been a while.
And what about the floor joist, your floor joist, Nilay, of the house, the existing floor joist?
I think the intention is to keep all of those because we're not changing the floor plate. We're simply taking the existing footprint and raising it up.
Yeah, I'm just wondering if at the end of the day, you're going to, if this were approved, you'd get there and say, you know what, this is all rotten. We're taking the house down. We're building a new house, because it looks like you're probably going to be doing that anyway, or most of that anyway. That's what I'm getting at.
Right.
And I think that's,
but the intention is to maintain the exterior walls and create a new plate around it. And that's the reason why, in fact, in this whole process, we got Delandro Engineering involved, because it was a fairly sensitive structure with the intention that we're going to move it up and describe how we're going to do it to the best of our ability.
right.
So it says, right?
Right. So this could be a flat roof.
Framing.
Nilay, this could be a flat roof structure because you're rebuilding the roof.
Correct. Now, the thing about the flat roof, John, this probably addresses the northern pyramid issue as well. We've tried to reduce the height of the top wall plate to the extent possible. So the height at the eaves is about 7 feet 6 inches. If I were to convert this to a flat roof, I think you would agree it would be highly compressed as a horizontal structure at that height. And so we've attempted to retain as nominal a slope as possible. I believe it is 1/6, and try to reduce the height of the top plate to the exterior walls as much as possible as well, which I believe is 7 feet 6 inches.
Mm-hmm. Okay, I'm finished for now. Go ahead, Britton.
I also want to note in terms of the gable, which my understanding of the architectural design was that because you can't have any mechanicals below the floodplain, and as you can see from that first floor plan on the screen right now, there's very little real estate for, hot water heaters, furnaces, those were all being relocated to the attic so that the house would be heated and cooled from above. There's not really anywhere else to put them if you can't put them before that first floor, and you only have 872 square feet. That was a design to sort of make the 800 square feet a little bit more functional. There's two other people I'd like to speak. The first would be
Brittany, what's under this first floor?
Could somebody scroll to the next plan, please? The foundation. There. So it's all just typical storage.
But it's all enclosed?
It's all, yeah, it looks.
It looks like, yeah.
I mean, in the east elevation photo, the drawing, they show a door and windows and.
As long as you meet the flood compliance with breakaway, or excuse me, this is AE. So flood vents and doors, there's nothing that's not permissible. You're allowed to have storage below the floodplain. Now, remember, there's no accessory buildings. As you saw, there's kite boards and a car and all the things that you would traditionally have to store on a property. And this is, 900 square feet or less.
And is it your position that this is a more resilient design than simply over piles?
I don't know if I have the qualifications to answer that. I mean, more resilient design to meet federal flood standards, yes.
No, I mean, I think I'm qualified to answer it.
I didn't finish my architecture degree. Neela, would you like to answer that?
I mean, it's as resilient as a system on piles. And the intent here was to meet FEMA compliance, which is met by the flood vents inside the structure. So, in terms of engineering, it would have to be discussed with the engineer what, the resilience of this structure is versus something on piles. Not qualified to answer that either.
Could I ask Mike to pull Tiffany off the line to address FEMA?
Sure. I can unmute that line right now. One moment. Hello, Tiffany Scarlato, you're there? The line is
Can
open.
everyone hear me? Sorry.
Yes, now we can.
Okay, am I on? All right.
Yes.
I just wanted to talk to the board a little bit about FEMA and the purpose of that. As we all know, it's a federal regulation that urges people to, as Brian said, think about the future and to consider the future, and that's exactly what FEMA is doing by asking people to raise their houses as they're reconstructed. It is a privately owned home right now. It is occupied, and the anticipation is that it's going to continue to be occupied by a private resident. We had a little bit of a discussion about the comprehensive plan. I heard some reference to that. All I would say in response to that is that, the comprehensive plan, although relevant in many ways, is not necessarily a consideration in front of the Zoning Board of Appeals for either a special permit or to address area variances. Of course, the comprehensive plan would like to see this entire place leveled, but the fact of the matter is a lot of the lots are still privately owned, and we're really going to have to deal with that on a continuing basis. As far as the character of the neighborhood is concerned, Brian did go over that a little bit, and I would address that simply by saying the character of the neighborhood right now consists of basically residences that do not currently meet FEMA, and that over time you are going to see an increase in applications. Either the town purchases the property, or you're going to see an increase in applications for FEMA compliance as time goes on, based on the town's regulation and FEMA regulations for that matter. The entire idea of FEMA regulations is for people to actually meet them. Many municipalities in this regard have actually exempted FEMA from pyramid regulations. I'm not saying that the town of Southampton is nearly the same, but in fact, they have an exemption from FEMA for pyramid regulations for exactly this reason, because they want to encourage the health, safety, and the health and safety of their local residents. And so to encourage that by exempting those pyramid variances is necessarily a good thing. So with respect to that, I think that's all I have to say, unless the board has any specific questions with respect to FEMA itself and the policies behind that regulation.
Well, Tiffany, I will say, as you know, typically FEMA is also looking for, when you go beyond the allowable budget, for the construction and the square footage, they are looking for you to not only pick your houses up, but to retreat from the seashore or whatever that may be, as you know. But just
respectfully, that's not possible in this situation.
Yeah, I know.
And it's not possible in every situation. And this one, it's not physically possible. If that were possible, then we would certainly, have considered that prior to making the application. But retreating and all of that, all are taken into consideration when plausible. And in this situation, unfortunately, it's not.
Okay, board members, any questions for Tiffany? Or Brittany, you want to continue, or we can wrap? If there's no more comments. Do you have anything else,
I'm
Brittany?
just waiting to hear if anybody else wants to speak. But in that absence, if the board's questions have been addressed, I would like to submit, John, Neelay did a great study, a pyramid study. I don't know if it's not in your file, but I will resubmit it. And I'd like it to circulate to the board so that you can see why a hipped roof wouldn't be great on the south end of the, or design-wise on the south end of the property. So I'll definitely submit that. And I do believe that the owner does want to speak.
Okay.
Dan Resnick, I don't know, Mike, is there anyone on the line?
There are no other callers on the line, actually.
Okay, just give him another minute.
Okay, well, Brittany, you can certainly, put that, and Brittany will put that on the website as well.
If I may, Mr. Chairman, while we're waiting for the owner to call in, I think I may have it up here now. I grabbed an incomplete set of the building plans that I think just had the recently revised elevation plans that Britton had dropped off last week. And I think I have a more complete set with the schematic of that. Britton, are you talking about the single page plan that shows
That has a red sort of box that slices? I think that would be helpful for John.
I'll share my screen now.
And
Thanks,
Chair,
Brian.
Chair, when you're ready, the owner has called in.
Okay, well, we can hold off for now. Thank you.
It's not that one.
That might be it. Okay.
Brian, I believe it may have been something that I sent to you just over email when we had the pyramid discussion. It's not in that set. Let's just skip that. Let's hear from Dan. I'll submit that to the file so that everyone can see it.
And Brian Frank, I know your press. Brian works with emergency services. And Brian, if you have to check out for your duties, you can certainly catch the end of this on LTV and rewatch it. So please don't, if you know what I mean, please make your appointment, Brian. Okay.
Well, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm good for the time being.
Okay. Okay. So Mike, if you would let in Mr. Resnick into the meeting, please.
Yes, I'll be unmuting that call right now.
Thanks, Mike.
Hello, sir. You're live with the zoning board.
Hello. Nice to meet you all. This is Dan Resnick.
Hi, Dan. If you're not an attorney, I will have to swear you in, okay?
Yes, I'm not.
Okay. Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
Okay, good evening. Go ahead, please.
Nice to meet all of you. Thank you for taking the time out to hear us speak, and thanks for all your thoughts. I do understand the sensitivity of the neighborhood. We have lived here since 2011, and Brian's, thoughts are well taken. I will say, since 2011, aside from the two hurricanes Irene and Sandy, and plenty of nor'easters, the shoreline has not changed, at least where we live. But for sure, during those events, there's some significant peril that as homeowners we all face in this neighborhood. I did want to just jump on and say that we have a very strong connection to this place. This is a house we purchased when we had 2 children. We didn't expect to have 3, but we have 3 now. They are growing up. But yes, in answer to one of your questions, we are a close family, and that is how we've been able to live here. But really, we're just looking for a way to continue to live here and do so safely, and that's the premise of this application. I heard a lot of details being asked about the designs, etc. But essentially, if you boil it down, it's really trying to raise the house to FEMA, get variances that are inevitable to request, and of course, if we could move the house away from the water, we would. That we're not in a position to do that. So I mean, we would take any and all suggestions for another way to do this, but really those designs are the only way that we could do it without asking for anything beyond just raising the house. And as far as the sensitivity of the neighborhood and sort of the appearance of the house to the neighbors, I do believe our neighbors have spoken about that, especially the ones that will be looking at the house. I believe there's only 2 neighbors that directly look at the house, and the walkway that was discussed is a shared walkway with our neighbor to our, to our east. And we have good relationships with our neighbors. Our intent is to be respectful to the neighborhood as we have been since we've been living here. And that's really it. I mean, I'd love to take any questions if you guys have any questions for us at this moment.
Okay, thank you. Board members, any questions?
No.
Okay. Thank you, Dan, for joining us.
Thanks so much.
Okay, I think we're about wrapped up on this then, correct?
I guess if I could just make one quick statement. It seems to be, can you hear me? It seems to me that the pyramid is a big discussion. I just want to highlight for the board, there's 3 pyramid variances. And pyramid variances, from my understanding in the code, were to protect neighbors from the feeling of a house looming over them. It's, that's the purpose of pyramid. The neighbor to the east, Dowdy, wrote a letter of support. The neighbor to the south is the harbor, can't write a letter. And the neighbor to the west is the town of East Hampton. So I do think that before we get too, specific about how extreme those variances are, we do look to the people, the 3 lot lines that are impacted, and the support that we've received from the one person that's a resident that will be living there. Like I said, I'd like the opportunity to submit that diagram so that John can specifically see it and get it to the rest of the board. And if there's anything else that you would like to be submitted, I would request that the board review that construction protocol. Paul Delandro wrote it, I believe, maybe about a year ago. So it's in the file. It's pretty extensive, and it explains the sensitive way that the construction will be approached. I think that's another thing that was raised as a concern by the board. And I had to step away for 1 second. I'm not sure if Dan addressed it, but he did tell me that the sandbags and the rocks on the beach from that photo from Brian are no longer there. So that must have been an older photo. Just wanted to note that. But if you want to make that a condition of the approval that there's no sandbags or rocks on the beach, I believe, to the best of my knowledge, that they're no longer there, but we're happy to oblige that.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think perhaps the ones further to the north, and I didn't go up the beach, but I did not see those when I was at the site today. So I guess they have been removed. Written. Thank you.
Can we just get clarification? The survey, the most recent survey is the October 2nd, 2019.
No.
That is correct.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. And that may not be on the site. We'll make sure that that's up on the site tomorrow as well.
Okay, thank you, Nancy Lynn. Okay. Okay, I will close this out, and I appreciate all of the all of you who joined us for this hearing. So with regard to Dan and Julie Resnick at 72 Shore Road, Amagansett, tax map number 300-107-1-22, I make a motion to close the public hearing and to leave the written record open for 2 weeks from the date, 2 weeks after the date that the transcript of this hearing is put on the town website. Do I have a second?
Second.
Concur.
Okay, thank you. Okay, thank you all again.
Chairman, can I ask you one thing? Is there any method by which the applicant can know when the transcript is posted? Because checking it daily is not always the best use of time. If there was some sort of email notification and just process wise that we could know,
that's
since our public hearing closes and we have no idea of knowing when it is.
Yeah, I think
We haven't been able to implement that. That would be, that's the planning department. If Joanne Powell has not put in any kind of notice procedures in there. and that's under her control. So you can reach out to her to see if there's a way that she would implement that, but that's not something the board controls. So the board can't create a notice. I don't get notice. I have to check it daily.
Right. So
it's kind of one of those things that's out of the board's hands. It's a planning department procedure.
So thank you, Nancy Lynn, and Brittany is on. Perhaps Brittany, you and Joanne can discuss this tomorrow, because I agree. It seems like it would be a proper procedure for at least the applicants and their agents to be emailed when these things are posted. It just makes sense. So Brittany, maybe you could discuss that with Joanne tomorrow, and
Yes, I will. And when I find out when the transcripts are posted at the appropriate time, I will do my best to let the applicant or their agents know.
Great. And that would,
Thank you very much.
For every application, it's another task, but thank you, Brittany.
Just so you know that it's going to close 2 weeks whether you get that notice or not. I mean,
Right.
we'll try to do a courtesy notice,
Right.
but it's 2 weeks from when it posts, regardless of the notice.
Right.
Only because we can't, the board doesn't have control of when that posts. So,
Right.
I apologize. We'll try to get notice out to you, but it will still close 2 weeks after it
And
posts.
it was just meant to be constructive criticism. Sometimes
Yeah.
it's 7 days, sometimes it's 28 days. There's really it's very much in flux, and it's hard to track when you
Yeah.
have multiple applications. So I just was putting it out there as a request. I think we might be stuck with this Zoom for a while.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a good suggestion.
Whatever you want.
It's a good suggestion, Britton. Okay, we're going to move
Thank
along.
you.
Thank you, Britton. Thank you all. Okay, board members, let's move on. Next, we have a modification. We have Tom DiGaetano as the applicant at 255 Marine Boulevard, Narragansett, tax map number 300-175-7-3. An administrative natural resources permit was filed November 7th, 2008, and modified December 11th, 2008, allowing the construction of a 720 square foot swimming pool equipment, a 1,485 square foot pool deck, and raised walkway on a parcel of land containing dune land vegetation within the town's jurisdiction of freshwater wetlands. The applicant is requesting a modification of the permit to change the wording of one permit condition. C, all structures within the conservation easement are to be removed prior to the issuance of a building permit. The applicant would like for the board to clarify that the decks, platforms within the conservation easement are to be removed, however, that the beach access walkway may remain. Okay, so this is in my Amagansett jurisdiction. So I will start off with a comment or two. Thank you, Eleni, for your work in the planning department on this, and Nancy Lynn for your research, because the last time we discussed this, the board was interested in kind of getting some more of the historical documents and some information on the neighboring parcels as well. And we did receive that. And I'm sure that my fellow board members have reviewed these all as well. And in brief, I would say that I went back and I read the documents, specifically the 2008, when this was an administrative modification. And it was very clear in the conditions of the permit, of the administrative permit, for these improvements with the swimming pool and the decks and that sort of thing that I just read off. It was very clear that there would be no structures within the conservation easement. And it's noted several times from what I saw. I could pull those up on the screen, but we can just go around the table. But basically, my opinion is that part of the 2008 approval was the fact that they were getting a swimming pool, but they were cleaning things up and taking off the walkway and the two extension kind of decks. And it was very clearly noted on their survey with 3 arrows pointing to these areas to be removed. I think that was basically kind of part of the deal. What they were offering to do that as mitigation to get themselves a swimming pool and these other improvements. So personally, I am not in favor of modifying the condition C. And I will note that there is an issue, as the applicants all know very well, where the building inspector had spoken, had kind of written a memo about neighboring parcels, and these parcels saying that these would not be, I can't recall, one of you, I don't have it in front of me, would not be
Further prosecuted.
prosecuted. Thank you, Nancy Lynn. Further, I didn't want to be so strong, further prosecuted, right? But nonetheless, we've gone through all the paperwork and the history of this application and the permits, and we do not have to abide by that memo as a zoning board. And I'm going to abide, my opinion is based on all the documents that were submitted and what was worked out, and the condition of the approval of the permit that allowed them to do this work. Tim, you want to comment, or Terry or Roy, or?
Yeah, my comment would be I reviewed the documents as well and came to the same conclusion. It's very clearly laid out here. And I believe that we have since extended that with that same language. So this isn't the first request, right, for an extension of time. Mm-hmm. And we've already gone through this. So it seems very clear to me that that was a condition associated with the approval, and I believe that we should stick with what was agreed to.
Thank you, Tim. Terry, Roy, one of you?
Well, it's kind of the way I felt last week, and I don't think I've changed how I feel about it this week.
So you agree with us?
Well, yeah, it was clear on there. It was clear on the survey that it said that was going to be removed. So
yeah,
they did agree.
Okay, Roy? Roy on mute, maybe?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I do agree that it was clear in the 2008, December 2008, administrative permit to have it removed. The problem I'm having is, again, I went through the documentation in September of 2008, when the application for the admin was being processed. There was an EAF that was done, and the EAF raised the point of the wording of the easement, and therefore that began the process of the negotiation of the removal of that deck and walkway. So the problem that I'm having with the Prioto letter specifically states that he looked in his making his determination. Now, this is a building inspector's determination, which again, my question is to the validity, which has more validity. But he says that he took into account the wording, and he made a determination that those do not fit within the wording of the easement. So that is the problem I'm having with this. I agree that that it was clear in the 2008 determination, but it seems like the waters are a bit muddied here.
So I would respond to that, Roy. I agree. My response to that would be that, as we all know, the zoning board is the one board that can overturn a building inspector's rulings, as we sometimes do and sometimes we don't. But my point is, I went back and read the initial, and I'm sure we all did. When you go back and read the initial conservation easement filing that was to be sent, that was to the county, it's very clear, the same wording. It basically says that no structures will be constructed in the conservation easement. And the fact that Tom Prioto missed that, it's not our problem. It's not my problem. He missed that. And I respectfully say that that was a mistake on his part, or however he would want to defend his ruling there. But nonetheless, with regard to this, that was in the earlier documents, and this condition was in all that they were getting approved, and they knew what they were getting approved for. And as Tim said, it was extended. So that's my response to that, respectfully.
Would you like the actual language? I can read from the easement.
Sure.
I have it in front of me
Please.
now.
Thanks.
Yes.
On page 2, it's in paragraph number 2A. It says, well, 2 says the nature, character, and extent of the easement hereby granted are as follows. And A is no building or structures of any description shall be erected on the burdened premises.
Yeah.
And I agree with that, and I agree with the determination in December, the way it was written. I'm perplexed with the wording of Pirato's letter.
Yeah.
When he says, I am aware of the pertinent easement and that the aforementioned structures are not in violation of the same. So it's muddy waters. And I don't, anyway, I'll go ahead.
No, I know what you mean, Roy. I understand, but it is strange, the fact that he even says that he read what Nancy Lynn just read to us, and that's pretty clear. What's written there. So he's sort of saying, it's almost implying, yeah, I've read that, but I don't agree with it, and therefore I'm writing this or something. I don't know.
But it's clear. So we can't interpret that he didn't look at it, which is
No, we
what you
cannot.
said.
He did. He says that he did look at it, but we can.
That's correct.
Yeah, exactly. But we are the board this board can overrule a building inspector's letter as well. And I guess that's kind of what we're going to be doing here, it looks like.
But are we allowed to overrule a building inspectors on a whim or on any without an appeal?
Well, you're not overturning his memo,
Yeah.
but you don't have to follow his memo because in the chain of opinions, your opinion overrules his opinion. So even if there was language from a previous ZBA board with regards to this language on this property, you're bound by previous ZBA determinations on this property because it's the law of this property, but you're not bound by a building inspector's interpretation on this property. You're not overturning the memo. The memo still stands until it is ever challenged specifically, but you don't have to follow it as binding or precedent on your determination today. So you make your independent decision whether or not this scenic easement language prohibits it, but you could find that it doesn't prohibit it and still say no because it was part of the agreed upon permitting of approval of the 2008 permit on this property. So
I have no problem backing the 2008 determination.
Okay. Thank you, Roy. Thank you. And thank you, Nancy Lynn and board members. And Eleni for your work on that application. Let's see. I believe that brings us to we've approved the minutes. I believe that brings us to the end of the agenda.
Yes.
Council, anything else on your end?
I don't think so. No, I don't think so. It should be all
Okay.
good.
Vice Chair Deline, I think we need a motion from you, please.
Sure. Therefore, Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to close the public hearings of the Town of East Hampton Zoning Board of Appeals for Tuesday, September 22nd at 8:53 p.m.
Second.
Concur.
And I concur. Thank you, Roy. Okay.
Thank you.
All. And Nancy Lynn and Brittany and all of the planning department, appreciate it. Have a
You will
good
have those secret books available tomorrow. They'll be in your mailboxes tomorrow. And
Thank
don't
you.
forget your homework.
That's our homework, yeah.
Homework.